Okay, gentlemen, good morning, everyone again. Esteemed members from the architecture, design, woodworking, trading, and allied industry, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rambir Singh Yadav, Assistant Director, Business Development at FI India, formerly known as Canadian Wood. Thank you for taking time out to attend this webinar on wood furniture manufacturing best practices. And on behalf of the Canadian Wood, I welcome each one of you to this webinar. Being the not-for-profit organization and a Crown Corporation of Government of British Columbia, supported by Natural Resource Canada, that is known as NRCan, Canadian Wood is engaged in the promotion of the wood and value-added products such as glulam and CLT, etc. from Canada. I am very delighted to bring three experienced personalities from the world of the wood industry to this seminar. We all are looking forward to the very interesting next 60 minutes of informative presentation followed by Q&A session of 10 minutes. To start the proceedings, let me welcome and introduce Mr. Pranesh Chhibber, Country Director, FII, for the opening remarks. Little bit about Mr. Pranesh Chhibber. So Pranesh is the Country Director of FII India since 2014, and he is a postgraduate in economics with update through senior and top management courses at IIM Ahmedabad and ISB Hyderabad. He has been associated with the woodworking industry over 20 years. Out of his career span of 40 years, he has held senior assignments in multinational companies and experience with the domestic and overseas operations. He believes in building organizations in domestic and overseas environment and empowering the team. He has been instrumental in starting many innovative initiatives for promoting Canadian wood lumber in the and its application in India. Over to you, Pranesh, for opening remarks.
Thank you, Rambir, for a generous introduction. Give me a minute to upload. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I extend you a very warm welcome to another informative webinar from Canadian Wood in collaboration with FFSC. Give me a second, there's a glitch. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with a bit about us at Canadian Wood. We are formerly known as Forestry Innovation Consulting, FII in short. We are a Crown Corporation of the Government of British Columbia, the westernmost province of Canada. We are also popularly known as Canadian Wood. We are a not-for-profit, non-commercial organization and engaged in promotion of wood species from BC, Canada in the overseas markets. We have been operational in India since 2014 and have been closely engaged across the country with architects, manufacturers, and importers, amongst others, as our target audience. We have offices in Mumbai, Delhi, NCR, and Bangalore, where we connect with our target audience on a day-to-day basis. Over these last 8 years, we have helped put together a network of over 40 Canadian wood stockists in 22 cities to meet the needs of the project owners and product manufacturers alike. We suggest appropriate Canadian wood species, provide hand-holding, technical assistance, and with the help of these 40-odd Canadian wood stockists, we have been honored to be part of numerous reman projects across the country and some wonderful structural projects as well. I will share some pictures of these wonderful projects later in my presentation, and you will find more such pictures, in fact, in our ebook, which is available online on our website. So what do we do? Well, we create awareness about sustainability in the market by educating woodworking industry about the 5 distinct Canadian wood species, their properties and applications through various outreach programs, including use of earned and paid media, collaterals, and participation in trade shows, etc. We also host webinars and seminars and training workshops as we are doing today to educate our target audience on the benefits of our wood species. Besides sharing the best practices and providing technical support, we additionally felicitate product trials and demo projects using Canadian wood species with our target audience. Let me now walk you a bit on the Canada and its forestry sector. Canada is home to 9% of the world's total forest cover and boasts 36% of the world's independent third-party audited and certified forests, thus making it a global leader in forest certification and a respected source for sustainable forest products for a long time. This positions Canada not only as a long-term sustainable source of legally harvested and certified wood fiber to fiber-deficient nations as India, it also helps advance the world's collective fight against climate change and global warming. Just 23% of BC's forests are available for harvesting, of which under 0.2% is harvested annually. Now, BC's approach to sustainable forestry focuses on forests forever. It has the 14th largest forest area when compared to country jurisdictions around the world. This speaks a lot about BC just as a province. And it is also a global leader in its own right in the 3rd place behind Canada and another nation. Through stringent regulations, continuous reforestation, and science-based practices, Canada's forests flourish and remain healthy forever. And that's why we call them forests forever. Certification, a bit about Canada and certification. World leader, as I said, by a huge margin. As you can see on the screen, Canada certified forests cover an area of the size of Germany, Spain, and Sweden put together. So you can just understand the scale. Talking about sustainability, BC has roughly the same amount of forested area as it did before the European settlements. Thus, abundance of wood is available for exports to the world for a long time to come from Canada. Let's talk a bit about the wood species from British Columbia, Canada. Usually countries from temperate and colder climates mostly have just pine or spruce. As against that, BC, Canada is lucky to have much more to offer by way of 5 distinct species. Each of these are known for their unique properties. They are easy to work with and very versatile. Among them, the 2 cedars are naturally durable. Talking further about these species, these can be used by manufacturers and contractors for a large variety of applications, as mentioned, from the reman to structural applications and from indoors to outdoor applications. Coming to SPF, which is the spruce, pine, and fir, the most common species and the longest getting into this country. It is an interior species which grows on the mountain ranges away from the coast in Canada, or rather in British Columbia in Canada. All other species, what we just showed you on the screen, are known as the coastal species as they are closer to the Pacific Ocean on the west. And they grow not only along the Pacific coast, but also across the coast on the Vancouver Island, except Douglas fir, which is also found in interior forests. Hemlock, one of the most popular and most abundant species available in British Columbia. It is considered excellent for furniture, door jambs, paneling, etc., amongst other applications. It competes with many tropical woods such as steel beech, etc., in these applications. Whereas Douglas fir is an excellent choice for reman and structural applications, considered an ideal material for mass timber, that is glulam and CLT. Whereas the western red cedar is considered excellent for cladding and a variety of excellent external applications such as gazebos, pergolas, and other outdoor furniture. And on the other hand, yellow cedar is not only prized in Japan, but many other countries around the globe for a variety of applications where durability is a major consideration. It fights very well against the insects and molds. It withstands natural elements in the open admirably. Canadian wood species are available in international standard sizes as per application, what you can see on the screen right now. So you get what you order. There's no sorting required for Canadian wood. Because all species come as lumber, which is sawn timber. It is duly graded, consistently sized and seasoned, thus completely avoiding any need for sorting. The wood on arrival at manufacturer's yard is almost ready to get into production. The lumber, importantly, is from mature trees, often as old as 200 years plus, and are thus highly stable, which is appreciated by the woodworking industry, not only India, but across the globe. As promised, here are some fine examples of reman projects done with Canadian wood species. These products have been designed by Indian designers and executed by local manufacturers and contractors, both for domestic market as well as exports. So as you can see, the products range from residence to hospitality, restaurants, pubs, bars, and cafes. Then we go on to the interiors done for auditoriums, as you can see, and also on the hospital side or the clinics. Again, some residential interiors. Now I have some products to show you for the outdoors. Again, some more outdoor products. All outdoor products, as I mentioned earlier, are made using one of these two cedars. You have gazebo and pergola here, again done with the cedars. And then you have this lovely outdoor application of soffit done with red cedar, very much here in Mumbai on Altamount Road. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I hand you over to my colleague Rambir to take it forward. Before I just sign off, please do not hesitate to send us queries and questions, and we'll be only too happy to answer you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Rambir.
Thank you, Pranesh. Thank you for the wonderful insight about the Canadian lumber and industry and what are the end applications. It was really helpful to understand what are the applications being used, these lumber species. So now I want to introduce to our second speaker of the day in the webinar, Mr. Jimmy Thomas from Canadian Wood. And little intro about Jimmy. So Jimmy is perhaps the first Indian to get the title of wood technologist in 1999. Jimmy is Assistant Director Technical Services at FIA India, the not-for-profit Crown Corporation of Government of British Columbia, Canada since 2016. Earlier, he served as a wood technologist and laboratory manager at the Central Wood Testing Laboratory, the Rubber Board, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, for about 16 years. And he has a master in wood science and technology from FRI Dehradun in the first batch in 1998 and PhD in the wood science from University of Canterbury, New Zealand. He has authored more than 10 peer-reviewed journal papers and a book chapter apart from presenting many conference papers. He is Vice President of the Indian Academy of Wood Science and a member of Research Advisory Group of Institute of Wood Science and Technology, Bangalore, and the Board of Studies FRI, Dehradun, the University, Ministry of Environment and Forest. He is a technical member of several organizations such as Furniture and Fitting Skill Council of India, International Association of the Wood Anatomies, and Society of the Wood Science and Technology USA, and last but not the least, Woodworker Guild of America. Let me welcome Jimmy Thomas to deliver his talk on the best practices in the selection and handling of wood. Over to you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Ramber, for a very detailed introduction. Just give me a sec to set it up. Is my screen visible correctly?
That's right.
Just a second, but it's not right to me. I'll reshare. Second. Thank you. Thank you, Jambir, for an elaborate introduction again. Good morning, all. Today, I would like to talk on a very important topic, which is usually not given enough attention by the wood industry in India. I'll share with you very essential, basic understanding about wood, then take you through the best practices in selection and handling of timber. Solid wood has many benefits over other materials for its versatile applications, and I appreciate you all to continue choosing wood in your production and projects. You can see on my screen, lot many positive.
Jimmy, I'm sorry, your screen is not visible, I think.
Oops, something really wrong. Just a second again.
Sure.
Where is this? Screen to share again. Is it okay now?
That's right, yeah.
Oops, sorry for that. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
Is this small patch of controller also coming on the screen?
I can see your mouse, yes.
Other than mouse, the
Yeah,
controller
there is one, yeah.
Okay, I need to move that away. Sorry, guys, this technology is now a little bit of trouble to everyone. Okay. So, solid wood has many benefits, as I mentioned. That's all given on the screen. Even veterans in the wood industry are sometimes confused with the actual meaning of or actual definition of hardwood and softwood. Recently, someone argued with me that the rubber wood is a softwood, and in another incident, the argument was on cedar wood. The fact is that wood with vessels in it, or porous in nature, or with the tubular structure, they are classified as hardwood. Hardwoods are usually darker in color and heavier than softwood, but not necessarily. On the other hand, the softwoods, which are also known as conifers, they don't have any vessels in it, or pores, or that tubular structure. Instead, they have almost 90% fibers. These fibers or tracheids, technically they are known as tracheids. They have thicker cell walls and are very long. They are light in weight, yet stronger and flexible to perform in many challenging applications such as bridges or multi-story buildings or many similar applications. Then I would like to share these two terms, hardwood and sapwood. Hardwood is the durable and usually the stable part of the tree or the timber we consume, and is the usable portion. However, sapwood contains carbohydrate which is deposited through the growing activity of the tree, that is non-durable. So sapwood portion requires preservative treatment. So when you select timber, it is very important for you to select the durable hardwood portion. Now comes to a couple of other important parameters. One is the hygroscopic nature of the wood. Wood being natural, it is hygroscopic. That means it responds to the humidity and temperature changes in the surroundings. Hence, proper seasoning is a must for manufacturing any good quality product. Sowing pattern also contributes to its non-uniform behavior. Planks of same dimensions can be cut in mainly two ways. They are flat zone and quarter zone. You can see on the screen similar dimension planks, but with the two different appearances. In the flat zone plank, the wider surface is called tangential surface, whereas in a quarter zone plank, the wider surface is radial surface. Due to the difference in cellular arrangement, tangential surfaces shrink or swell more compared to quarter zone surface. Hence, for high value products, it is recommended to use quarter zone planks. This quarter zone is also known as vertical grain or radial cut. And the flat zone surface or flat zone planks are also known as flowery cut and plain sowing. So these are some of the basics in wood science which I would like to share with you as a end user of timber. When you consider shrinkage or swelling in timber or planks, tangential shrinkage, the shrinkage happening on the tangential direction or tangential surface, is the highest among other two, radial surface or longitudinal surface. Tangential shrinkage is normally double compared to radial shrinkage and much higher than longitudinal shrinkage. So these are some of the basic parameters which will help you to select the right timber for the right application. So when you talk about the selection of timber, application comes the first choice. Means if it is for exterior application, you have to select a durable timber. And in exterior also depends on different applications like furniture, decking, different applications. You need to select the right timber for those applications. In the case of interior furniture, you may be able to, you may not be required to bend your head too much. You have a lot of choices. Then comes the species and specification. Of course, durable species need to be used, selected for outdoor applications. Then comes designing parameters, whether that is load bearing requirement or high smooth finish is required or carving requirements are there. So all those parameters come into mind. Then comes the woodworking properties, whether the wood is easy to work with, straight grain, all those things. Of course, costing and availability of those selected timber also will matter. And nowadays, certification and sustainability both are coming into very important roles. So when you select the timber, you can consider all these different parameters. And Canadian wood is a best option. It's a good option for all these issues to cover all these problems. Pranesh has already covered about the different species and their products are also shown to you. I'm not dwelling on all those, further details, but when you select for interior applications, you have three choices: Western hemlock, Douglasfir, and SPF. And for your all outdoor applications, you have Western red cedar and yellow cedar. So when you get the timber, what is the first step you have to do? You have to check the material delivered to you against the order specification. Mostly wood from Canada is coming in packed, properly seasoned, graded and certified condition. And they carry all the necessary documents as well, including the certificate of origin, seasoning or PFC certification, all those important certification. You can ask for those information from the seller or the supplier to you. And once you get the timber, if you are okay with this, the order specification, then you need to check the kiln drying conditions. Usually, depends on the grade of the timber. It is around, on an average 12%, or in the case of structural timber, it is between 15, on an average 15%. It can go up to 19% also. One very important thing I would like to mention here is that wood from legitimate source, including Canadian wood, they come with a stamp, grade stamp, what is shown on the screen. So the grade stamp is actually the thumb impression, something like that. It carries a lot of information. First of all, it carries the company which produced this material, the grading agency's details, the species requirement, the correct species, its seasoning quality, whether this is kiln dried or heat treated or green in condition, and also the grade. In this case, it is #1 structural grade. But we have noticed in the market that, certain people, they are even making the fake stamps. You can put your thoughts there as well. Some of the stamps you can also distinguish by seeing or closely verifying by a careful observation. You can see on the right-hand side top corner, I got a fake stamp recently. This was, just put the stamp immediately after the sewing without drying. So the ink is actually not clearly, clear, or it's spreading. This is just one of the, ways to identify. But of course, you have the right as a customer to ask the supplier to provide all this basic information. Next, good practice is that check the measurements, whether it is okay, which is as per the order specifications. Once you are happy with all these things, next important step is to check the moisture content. This is again, many companies, many manufacturing units, they have the moisture meter kept safely inside the safe without a proper battery also, sometimes, many times. So check the moisture content of the timber using a good quality moisture meter, and read the instruction manual. Advise the operators to do the quality check. And obviously, of course, you have to check the power of the battery inside. The battery is the energy for the moisture meter to work. And then select the right species. For every species, there is a particular setting. Means for measuring teak wood, you have to select the meter into one particular point. And for other species like hemlock or Douglas fir, this depends on the species. You have to select the species. The selection in the moisture meter needs to be done. Then for measurement, you have to select the location away from the ends and edges. If it's a longer plank, you need to have multiple measuring points. If it is a shorter one, again, multiple measurements are advised. So once you measure the moisture content and happy with the majority of the planks, and if you face some variation, high variation from the required moisture content, then it is advisable to keep the material separately. Those, going beyond the range, those items, those planks, you need to keep them on a properly arranged stickers, like what you are seeing in the picture. If you want, you can again use the metal strips on the ends also, as shown in the picture, to stop any kind of end cracks. So the idea is to acclimatize the timber, or to achieve the equilibrium moisture content. So these all are, basic things, good practices, good things to follow. Then comes the machining. If machining starts from this point, so no one wants to keep the natural defects or the seasoning defects. Some of are shown in the screen now. These all are different types of natural as well as seasoning defects. No one wanted to keep them on your quality product. So we need to remove these different defects. There are two important ways of removing the defects. One, you can rip along the length, once it is ripped and remove the knots, then you can chop into right length. But that all depends on the width, or means the final dimension of the product, the raw material you want. If you want longer planks, you need to rip first, then chop. If you want shorter, if you are okay with the shorter length planks, then chop first, then rip. Depends. But anyway, these are the two important different ways. Once you are encountering problems with cupped or warped planks, it is always advisable to rip first and get it into narrow shape, narrow width, and then plane, rather than planing all the way right at the beginning with the large cupping or warping on it. Once it is planed and shaped into the right size, you can join them back also if wider planks is required. Once everything is done, timber needs to be stored. If you have surplus quantity of timber, you can sort the timber, then keep it in a right place on the basis of species, size, or appearance, or whichever requirement you have. The way you are doing manufacturing, it is up to you to do this. But we have seen these kind of pictures or sceneries, scenes on the manufacturing places. These are not a good practice anyway. The timber is directly kept on the ground, which you can absorb the moisture, or if there is any water spillage, water can get through, or even it can fall down. It's not easy to find and retrieve. So in all those cases, the best practice is to keep the timber on a properly made pallet, or you can keep them on steel racks also, like what you saw on the picture. See, when you stack the timber, it can be based on whichever order I mentioned in the previous slide, but it is a good idea to label them so that you can retrieve them in a minute or two. So this is all simple but easy way of managing your stock and production. So for best results, we advise you to follow the best practices, understand your wood, its properties and characteristics, then use quality machines, right tools, and also the setting up of the tools. Use good quality, penetrating kind of coatings for a long-lasting finish, and obviously advise to use certified seasoned and graded timber. So thank you for your attention. Over to you, Rambir.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for the wonderful insight about the best practices and little bit on the how one should handle the wood and store the wood. So it was really insightful. So now let me introduce to you Mr. Rahul Mehta, CEO of FFSC. An alumnus of Sri Ram College of Commerce, Rahul Mehta comes with the rich experience of heading one of the India's most versatile and unique contract manufacturing company as a CEO for 6 years, and having an overall experience of 16 plus years of experience ranging over risk advisory, trading, event management, interior and furniture industry, and skill development. He has been associated with the Furniture and Fitting Council, FFSC, which is early stage of inception, and has been an adherent support of the Skill India mission and initiative like World Skill Competition. Mr. Mehta joined FFSC as a Chief Executive Officer in August 2019, and some of his key initiatives under his tenure are as under FFSC Skill Ambassador Campaign, FFSC Skill Pavilion, Skill India Talk Show, Furniture Skill Global Conclave, and last, Skill Market Informative System, and so on. Mr. Mehta has focused on development of the strong standard development mechanism to ensure the quality output. So over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Rambi. A very warm welcome to all the participants who have come here. I'm so happy that they are so conscious about their growth, that they have taken this time out to listen to the best practices, to know more about the best practices. It shows that how how much importance you give to your own story and how much importance you give to your own growth. My teacher used to say back in the day that one who reads leads. And the fact that the previous two speakers were talking about Canada with so much pride and sharing so much insights on the kind of product that is available from Canada, this made me think that we all cook. We all cook at our homes, and we've been doing it for so many years. And it is a very natural thing to do. Nobody is telling us about the best practices there. Then why are we talking about best practices and those skills which primarily were demonstrated by Jimmy? Why are we talking about those skills? Why are we not having those skills like a second nature? Because we are also making furniture for so many years. So, which kind of brings me to a part when I would like to highlight the difference between where we stand today, and we are looking at the global story, and we're looking at our growth story along with it. And why is that gap, and how can we bridge that gap? So that's the whole point of me getting this time slot to share and discuss with you. So I'll go ahead with that. Yeah. So our story, our growth story, is directly connected with India's growth story. It is, if we grow, India grows. If India grows, we get better opportunities to grow. Two such opportunities right now that are available to us, that government is focusing on, that the market is kind of providing as an opportunity, is import substitution and export promotion. For both these things, we are competing with the world, because India is a net importer of furniture, as the fact says. And also in export, we have a very small share. If you compare it with China, China has about 39%. Even Vietnam, which came in the last 10, 12 years, they have about 5%, and India is less than 1%. A lot of this also owes to the point that we are not probably there to that level of skill sets or to that level of understanding of the products and the market, and we're not able to provide that side solutions. Let's see certain facts. India is definitely recognized as one of the fastest growing economy. However, you will be startled to see the numbers when I talk about the skilled workforce availability or identification of skilled workforce availability in India is just about 2.3%, and it has now increased to about 4%. But if you'll see it in most of the developed nations, it ranges about 60%. Now, what does it tell? It's a very simple thing. I'll take an analogy here. That if you are running a company of about 100 people, and you know about the skill sets or the right talent and the performance capability of just about 4%, imagine how your company would grow. Now, that's something of a kind of a situation there, what is there in India. We are all running businesses. India is running businesses, but India doesn't really have a proper understanding of what kind of talent or skill set it has collectively, and also a standardized way of knowing about those things. For example, I'm sure every one of you has probably sometime or other come across carpenters. Now, we consider carpenters all in the same boat, while we don't do that for the doctors. If we have an eye problem, we go to a particular doctor. If we have a teeth problem, we go to a dentist. When it comes to our trade, woodworking and all of that, we are still very, very, very generalized, and we have not really thought about what are the specializations and standards required for that. While we look at the best practices from across the world, you will be surprised to see that all these guys have been following it for almost about 40, 45 years or more than that. And that's the reason why they are so at the top of the world. Or, when Pranesh was making a point that Canadian wood is, any lumber that you take would be 200 years old. That means that they've been consciously working on that as well as a best practice, not just the other skills part of it. So I like to take a case study here, an example here. So India is also slowly and steadily waking up and walking the channel. We are participating in the World Skills competitions. I've taken this case study from the World Skills competition here. Our performance in the World Skills this time was one of the best so far. However, if I were to put it on the scale of 10, we were probably at a 3, and the rest of the world was probably on an average of a 7 to 8. Now, why was that? So I had 3 important facts that I would like to highlight here that made me think that why are we lagging behind and where we need to improve. First of all, our understanding of the trade in terms of what is specialization for what kind of skill sets are required and specific for what. So what you see on the left-hand side of the slide is carpentry, a trade which is primarily involved to do with work done on sites, wooden structures, paneling, cladding, and other things like that. While on the right hand side is a trade called cabinet making, wherein people specialize in making cabinets of different types, sizes, form, shape, and they specialize cabinet makers for that matter. This is the second one, which talks about the infrastructure. Now, the picture that you see, this is this one area marked in yellow, is an area that one candidate uses to do or to make, the structure that he has. Now, if you will see, almost 70 to 80% of our carpenters or our contractors working on site or probably in the workshop would not even have the full set that is being demonstrated or showcased here. So that's another big, gap that we have. Then comes the next part. Just look at these faces. Most of these people that you see who are probably having whites or grays, they are those people who have been participating in the World Skills Competition and working towards the development of skill sets in their countries from almost about 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. The gentleman you see here, I'm just pointing my mouse here in the pointer here, is a Korean expert who's been working since last 40 years actually towards the development of the skill sets. In our country, we are doing it right now, kind of on the job, and we are just passing on the knowledge from one person to another. And the interest of the youth is kind of dying in our trade and in our segment because of the lack of awareness of what is possible. But these things are aspirational. So over and all, we lack a lot of things because our industry is not together and we lack a representation. We are not even considered as an industry at the government level, but we are kind of a sector or a category. We don't have the appropriate design and build programs. Our infrastructure, which is existing in various parts of the country, even though it is available, it's kind of fading out. It is kind of not up to the mark to what we require. It is changing slowly with our efforts, but it needs a larger consciousness. You must have gone through a report which was released in 2020, which was the BCG FICCI report, wherein 3 key points were highlighted and how we solve the challenge. One among those key points, apart from building furniture hubs, competitive raw material supply, was skill development. And for all of this, I think that most important is that we need to stand as one industry and we need to come together to solve this problem. Otherwise, we would not be able to, collectively grow, and our business would not grow, our industry would not grow, and thus our country cannot grow and have the opportunities that are there. So what is FFSC doing? What is FFSC played as a role in this overall journey? I would like to briefly highlight that to this video. As you've seen over the years, we have created a lot of initiatives and we're working towards the development of the overall skill set and the skill ecosystem for that matter for the whole industry. And what we have done is that we are now working towards creation of regional skill chapters, which are basically a hub and spoke based approach powered by community and technology to create and to provide the skilled workforce solutions locally in the regions that are there, so that our industry can get the right manpower, our youth can get the right job opportunities, career opportunities, and together we all of us can grow. How we're doing that is that a very important element of this thing is the community, which comprises of the industry people, the skilling partners who are there, and the learners who are there who need to know about what is the new option available, what are the new career options available, and the things like that. Then we set up in these regions beginner academies, apprenticeship academies, which are essentially academies within the industry premises, and center of excellence, which provide specialized training opportunities, specialized not just to the freshers, but also to the existing workforce, because they also need continuous learning and development. And we provide these services in the format of TAJ, training, apprenticeship, and jobs, which are standard customized apprenticeship benefits, HR benefits, which are available. Some of these benefits are available via the government directly, which we should take care of. I would just like to share one fact here. But apart from our industry, other industries so far have taken apprenticeship benefits worth more than 100 CR. And for our industry, the benefits are less than 10 lakhs that our industry collectively has taken so far. You can see the difference that that is there because of the lack of awareness about these things, and that's what we need to bridge as a gap, so that we can actually grow with the help of what the government is also doing for us. So we are also setting up skill academies within these segments, and we are now reaching out to almost about 25 plus different sectors that we have identified for the development of the regional skill chapters. We have about 450 plus industry-based skill ambassadors who are there. And we are doing this now with a very consolidated approach of one nation, one industry, bringing our country, different sectors, subsectors together, which represent our industry in interiors, furniture, and light sectors, and creating a nationwide directory, creating skill ambassadors across the country, generating skill consciousness amongst the employers and the employees, certifying their skill sets, guiding them on what can be the next step towards upgrading their skills, then including them into the recruit and deploy models, creating aspirations of skill chapters, and also raising corporates to make a sustainable model. I'm glad to share that we have conducted almost about 5-6 such industry meets across the country so far. Benefits worth more than 50 lakh have already been offered to these partners across the country. These are examples from the Jaipur regional skill chapter, wherein about 10 plus companies had participated, 500 plus employees got the benefited through training, direct bank transfers, assessment fee was laid off. They got accidental insurance cover, and they also got apprenticeship support to start initiatives. And another big win that FFSC has got just yesterday, and I've added this slide just today itself, is that we are working on a public-private collaboration model. So if you'll see, there are government institutions available across the country. And in these institutions, the infrastructure is not right. And if you talk about developing the infrastructure across the country, it is very capital intensive for our sector primarily. So what we have done is that we created a model where we are bringing together the government, we're bringing together the industry partners, and we are managing the overall thing and acting as a glue in between. And we are setting up these public-private collaborative model-based FFFC Center of Excellence. And one of the first Center of Excellence that we are planning to start now is at NSTI Hyderabad in Hyderabad itself, and it will benefit the industry in and around there. And then we are slowly planning to move in different parts of the country. So this would be the hub, and then there would be spokes and ITIs and in industry premises that are going to be there. So I invite you all to collaborate, to contribute, and be more competitive, because only together we can inspire, empower, and transform India. Thank you so much for your time and being a patient listener.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for the wonderful insight about the FFSC contribution to the community to empower the workforce to strengthen ourselves in the community and upgrading the skills. So now we'll have some questions. So we'll take one by one. So one question for you, Rahul, as you rightly said that FFSC is engaging to help developing the skill set of the Indian common people. So there is a question for you that somebody is from Jharkhand. They said, please, could you help us to provide skills training to our Adivasi community members? And the question came from one of the participants here in this webinar from Jharkhand.
Yes, that is definitely possible. Apparently, UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, some parts of Rajasthan, they are basically, I would say, in a way like a supply states. there are a lot of young kids who are not having enough opportunities in those regions. And if they get the right opportunity, right training in those regions, they would be able to actually get better opportunities. So yes, we can do that if you are, and I'm glad to share that at this point in time, there are certain programs that if we have enough number of students, we can provide it for free also. The training setup can be done there and we can provide the training for free. And we are also doing certain collaboration-based programs wherein if they are willing, we can do the training for them in Bangalore at the Bosch Training Center, which is one of iconic training center for our industry. And apart from the very basic, some food and certain costs which is there, the overall cost of training and stay is being covered under this program. So enrollments are on for that as well. So if you would really want, you can, join us and you can nominate the candidates also for that purpose. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Rahul, for the taking the question here. And there is another chat here in the chat section. So somebody they have shown interest. They are from Telangana Timber Federation. They want to collaborate with the FFSC for future synergies. So they have shared their contact number here. So we'll send you, then you can take it up from there.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
In fact, yesterday only I come from Telangana. I was there. This MOU was signed yesterday only, and I'm happy that this is a collaborative effort of the industry, and the whole setup would also be done with the collaboration of the industry. Like somebody would be providing machines, somebody would be providing raw materials, somebody would be providing the skill set and talent. So together, our industry would be able to grow through these efforts.
That's right. Thank you for that. I just want to ask one question to Jimmy about the shrinkage and swelling. You mentioned that tangential shrinkage is always double than the radial. So how does it impact the overall, basically let's say somebody is making tabletop, okay. How does it impact the overall performance of the products? If somebody mixes vertical grain and flats on, and how does it, the variation in the shrinkage, in the radial tangential, impact the final product quality? Can you little bit explain on that, Jimmy?
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. It's a good question. The ideal way of selecting planks for a tabletop is to have the planks of uniform grain orientation. That means if you want to make a vertical quarter zone kind of appearance, then you select all the planks from this same vertical grain category. But that is only ideal condition. In many cases, in practicality, you have a mix of grain. Some will be pure vertical, some will be flat, and also some will be mixed grain. So what the first step in this case is to select the single species, only one species, and also moisture content. Moisture content needs to be well under controlled condition, means around 12%, 10 plus minus 2, in that particular range. So in that case, what happens is wood is almost stable. So then one more thing is that in that case, if the planks need to be arranged in a way that there is a sap to sap and hard to hard combination. So you know that the timber on the sapwood side, means the outer side of the surface, will have a tendency to cup, and the hardwood side has the other tendency. So when you place one plank of sapwood surface with the next adjoining plank with the hardwood side, then the counter of both the planks, the deformation happening there, will offset the movement. So that sap to hard to sap, that kind of orientation would be chosen. So that is one point. Another point is when you mix the planks or when you select the planks, it should not be wider than 4 inch ideally. If it is more than 4 inch, there is a tendency of cupping. So Ideally, 4 inch is good. If not, then maximum 5 inch is recommended. So not more than 5 inches. That is the ideal width of the planks for tabletops. I'm not saying that more than 5 inches is not possible. If more than 5 inches is required, then proportionally the thickness also should be improved, increased. So there are, combination of different aspects we need to think about when you select planks for the tabletop. Then one more important factor is between the two adjoining planks, the moisture difference should not be more than 1%. That is the ideal condition, but practically, this 1% can normally goes to 3% also. Means even more also. People don't even check in many cases. I
That's
hope I
right. Yeah,
answered.
we have a lot of lack of infrastructure at the small workshops. You rightly said that sometimes people does not use the moisture content before putting them together and clamp them for making tabletops. So that is that is a thing. So one more question coming up here from one of the audience here. What is the I would like to toss it for probably to Rahul. Yeah. What is the proportion of the use of plywood, MDF, and particle board in furniture industry, domestic and international? And what is the future prediction of change in the trends? I don't know whether you can address that or not, Rahul.
Yeah, I've been a manufacturer myself, so I've traveled a bit, but I obviously I can't give numbers on that. I can tell you certain facts and certain observation that I've had over this particular part. See, outside India, the usage of ply is very limited. It's not as we are doing it here in India. They are very cautious about sustainability. They are very cautious about there you'll find more usage of MDF and plyboard and particle boards. Also because it is considered as an industrial material. It's more sustainable. It's more it has more predictability in terms of the supply chain and other things like that. And but while in India we are still very conscious about the fact that we consider ply as strong. That's the whole idea. That's the basic idea in minds of a lot of architects, interior designers also. Let alone be the carpenters who work directly with plywood. And second is the part of skills that are required to use these raw materials. That is also very important. For example, plywood can still be worked in the traditional format on the site. While working on MDF and particle board, you require certain different types of skill sets which are there. But since we are talking about future here, I see a lot of movement now to alternate materials than plywood. Reason being that the cost one is there. Secondly, we are now moving towards furniture being made in factories rather than just made at homes, for that matter. So for that purpose, a lot of industrial raw materials are going to be used, like MDF or particle boards, for that matter. And the perception that these materials are not good, I would say that's a wrong perception to have. All materials are good and bad, considering the usage that you have and the quality of the material that is there. For example, so that's why we need to be cautious. I like to pick from the Dimi's slide there. There are certain materials, if you go into the detail of it and you see the stamping on it, you know that, okay, these are the right materials if you've done your homework on that. But at the same time, you can be fooled by somebody who's just putting, doing wrong stamping. It happens even in case of plywood, for that matter. But yes, the trend will definitely be towards more industrial-based raw material, and even the standalone carpenters or contractors would start using it and adopting the technologies. I see that happening a lot in the country at this point in time also now. They are more cautious about learning about these new techniques of using MDF and ply, and particle board rather than just plywood.
Thank you, Rahul. Yeah, so we are actually running out of time, and I thank each one of you to presenting the good ideas about how to best use the wood and wood products. And Rahul, thank you to come on board and sharing the ideas how FFSC contributing to enhance the skill set of the our Indian people and the skill people. I would like to also ask one question to Pranesh. Pranesh, actually, you have been traveling to across India and associated with the industry. What do you see? I mean, because now everyone is talking about China plus one. Is that really happening? And is the government of India putting enough efforts to replicate China in India?
I don't know about replicating China in India, but yes, if we go by the government and especially our Prime Minister's call of Make in India, well, that's a clarion call, and it has been almost across different industries being welcomed and adapted and being adopted. As far as impetus to the woodworking industry is concerned, I think it's still work in progress. Some noises have been made in the past. For instance, our commerce minister, I think somewhere in 2020, had said about establishing and setting up some furniture hubs across the country, about 2 or 3 or 4 furniture hubs, and near to the ports. So I
Okay.
don't, except for the Tuticorin, I don't think so. Any other ports, any other such furniture hub has been activated. Yes, Tuticorin was foundation stone was laid by the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu some time back. In fact, I had the good fortune of going over to Tuticorin recently and meeting the officials from SIPCOT. And I was very happy to note the progress being made in Tuticorin, because unless there are some SOPs and subsidies, things don't move. So little bit of that is happening in Tuticorin. There's a land subsidy, there's a stamp duty exemption on registration. There's infrastructure at a very attractive price, which is being provided as 6-lane roads, water, sanitation, electricity. Everything is being provided at a very attractive rate. And I believe 8 companies had already signed the MOU with the CM, and about 1,152 acres land has already been acquired. And this has all happened in 1 year. Approach road layout is completed. The tender to complete estimates are under preparation, and they'll be called within a month. So I think it's a mixed bag. It is happening in Tuticorin. It has not happened as yet in Kandla, which was expected, Gandhidham Kandla, to make a lot more progress than it has made up till now. So let's wait and watch. But yes, I think the world would like India to step up and take over from China as the sole destination to go to. It'll be good to have India as one of the hubs where people can come and source furniture and other wooden products from. And I think we have some excellent manufacturing facilities in Rajasthan, Jodhpur, Jaipur, and also in Moradabad area of the Western Uttar Pradesh, and some other places. So I think we see more and more brands and buying houses coming in to source furniture from India. I only hope this is going to snowball into a much larger operation than it is currently. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Pranesh. And now we come to and conclude this webinar. And I know that there are not many unanswered questions, but our team will reach out to you and send them answer at every question asked here. And if you have any further question, please do not hesitate to reach out to us through our business development team here in India. And after this webinar, everyone, all of you will receive one survey link. Okay, and we encourage you to send us the feedback, and also advise if you need something else out of this out of our efforts. We will definitely try to cover it. And thank you everyone taking time out to attend this webinar. Thank you all for this wonderful.
Thank you.
session.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
to extract your iPhone.